Have you ever sat there knowing exactly what you should be doing, but somehow you just can't start? You tidy your desk, make another drink, scroll for a few minutes that turns into an hour, and the whole time you're thinking, why can't I just get on with it? Most people assume that procrastination is about discipline or motivation, but it's actually far more interesting than that. Procrastination isn't a thinking problem, it's a feeling problem. When a task stirs up uncomfortable emotions, overwhelm, pressure, self-doubt, the emotional brain says pull back, and the logical brain steps aside. That's why just do it rarely works. You're talking to the wrong part of the brain. So in this video, I'm going to explain why your brain procrastinates, what really drives that hesitation, and share 4 powerful shifts that can help you change the pattern. And if you're new here, I'm Andrew Major, clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist. And on this channel, I share powerful resources and tools that tap into the power of your mind and body to help you create a happier, healthier, and more productive life. Now, most people who struggle with procrastination don't lack ambition. You care about the things that you want to do. You think about them, you plan them, even imagine the results. But when it's time to begin, something inside hesitates. It can feel like 2 parts of your mind pulling you in different directions. One wanting progress, another quietly stepping back. That hesitation isn't a character flaw. It's not a lack of discipline. It's the emotional part of your mind reacting to discomfort, uncertainty, overwhelm, or the fear of getting it wrong. And when you start to see procrastination that way, not as a thinking problem, but as a feeling problem, things start to make more sense. So let's look at how that actually works in the brain. Because if you rely on willpower alone, you actually strengthen the same stress circuits that created the procrastination in the first place. But when you start to work with your brain by reducing the emotional load and making action feel manageable again, you begin to rewire the pattern entirely. You see, procrastination isn't a time management problem, it's an emotional regulation problem. When a task feels uncomfortable, maybe you're afraid of failing or being judged or not doing it perfectly, the emotional brain interprets that feeling as a threat. The amygdala fires a warning, this feels uncomfortable, avoid it. And in that moment, the logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, goes quieter. So even though you know what you should do, your emotional brain has already taken the controls. And here's the interesting part. The emotional brain can't imagine new behaviors. It can only refer you back to old patterns, things that felt easier before. So if avoiding something once brought relief, even for a moment, your brain remembers. You avoid, you feel better. Your brain thinks, this is helpful. And next time it runs into the same program, it's not logical, it's just learned. And when you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and you can start to change the pattern. Now, when we add stress into the picture too, everything becomes stronger. When your stress levels are high, maybe there's poor sleep, worry, emotional overload, the emotional brain becomes even more dominant. And because it can only rely on old patterns, it reaches for avoidance again. And this creates a procrastination loop. Your stress equals avoidance, avoidance equals relief. That can lead to some guilt, and that can lead to more stress. So that small moment of relief teaches your brain, avoiding this helps, then the guilt returns, the deadline gets closer, and the stress rises again, and that cycle repeats. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is reacting to emotional discomfort in the quickest way it knows. But here's the good news. That same mechanism that built this habit, neuroplasticity, is exactly what you can use to undo it. So every time you start, even in the smallest way, your brain learns something new. Starting is okay. And that's where change begins. But what triggers that stress response in the first place? it usually begins with the emotion sitting underneath it. So underneath procrastination, there's always an emotion that feels uncomfortable to face. And sometimes it's fear, maybe fear of failure, criticism, or perhaps not doing it well enough. Sometimes it's the pressure or the overwhelm associated with the task. Perhaps it feels too big or uncertain. And sometimes it's perfectionism. If I can't do it perfectly, should I even bother starting at all? Whatever the emotion is, procrastination is your brain's attempt to regulate that discomfort, to soothe it, to reduce it, or to delay it. And once you see that clearly, the question shifts from how do I force myself to do this to how do I support my mind so it feels able to start or begin. Now the next 4 shifts can help your brain learn a different response without pressure and without force. Now procrastination always gets worse under stress. When stress levels rise, the emotional brain takes over and simply repeats old avoidance patterns. So lower the stress and the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, comes back online. And this can happen in very small practical ways, the things that can bring your nervous system back into balance. So for example, good sleep. That's important because the REM phase of sleep is where emotional processing happens. So when your sleep improves, your emotional brain calms down and the thinking brain has more control. Now movement, even light movement, walking, moving around, helps release the chemicals that lower threat and increase motivation. When we connect with people, even very briefly, this sends positive signals of safety to the brain. And then when we do things that we enjoy, small pleasures, interests, creative moments, they can really help lift your mood and reduce the emotional load that feeds avoidance. Also, catching negative spirals early helps. Notice when your mind drifts into what if. Now these aren't really luxuries, they're biological signals that say you're safe, you can think clearly again. They're cues your brain uses to shift out of the emotional survival mode so your thinking brain can take the lead again. In therapy, I often help clients lower their stress levels before we begin changing other behaviours, because a calm brain can change, a stressed brain repeats the past. Your brain doesn't fear the task, it fears the uncomfortable feeling the task brings up. So we need to make starting feel safe through tiny actions, 2 minutes, 1 sentence, opening the file, maybe putting 1 item away. You're not trying to finish, you're just teaching the emotional brain that beginning is safe, because motivation doesn't lead to action. Action leads to motivation. So the moment you start, even in small ways, your nervous system shifts. Your brain learns something new. I began, and nothing happened. And that's rewiring in action. Now often procrastination is rooted in perfectionism too. But your brain doesn't reinforce perfect outcomes. It reinforces movement, small wins, tiny completions, and noticing what's done rather than what's left. Now each small completion releases dopamine, and that strengthens the action pathways. So here's the practical bit. You have to give your brain something to mark as progress too. So saying out loud, that's done, or crossing it off a list, or keeping a done list, or perhaps pausing for 3 seconds after each small step, or even setting a 2-minute timer and then rewarding yourself when it rings. These are great small steps, acknowledgements that help your brain link action with relief and satisfaction, not threat. Self-criticism triggers that threat system too and pushes you back into avoidance. Self-compassion calms it so you can keep going. And over time, your brain begins to prefer action because action now feels emotionally rewarding. Before you start something, take a moment to imagine yourself beginning calmly. A slow breath, soft shoulders, your attention settling on the first small step. This is mental rehearsal, the same process that athletes use. Your subconscious learns through repetition and imagery, not pressure. So when you picture yourself starting calmly, your brain creates a preview of success, a pattern your nervous system can follow. And this is something I use in therapy too. We talk about the future. how you behave when procrastination isn't in the way, what beginning feels like when it's steady and confident, what your day looks and feels like with this new sense of ease. And this is also where hypnosis or guided visualization can be really deeply effective, because when you are relaxed and focused, your mind becomes more receptive to the idea that starting is manageable. The imagery, the calmness, the repetition. These things all strengthen new neural connections, and over time, those suggestions start to feel more natural. And that becomes the way that your mind responds. And that's how lasting change takes root. So we've looked at 4 shifts that can make a real difference. Start by lowering the stress load. Make starting feel safe. Reward your progress and rehearse calm action. When these 4 things work together, your emotional and rational minds stop pulling against each other, and you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're creating the conditions where action becomes the next natural step. Now remember, procrastination isn't laziness, it's your mind reacting to uncomfortable emotions. But when you learn to calm that emotional reaction and take small, compassionate steps forward, you teach your brain a different way to respond. You don't have to wait for motivation, you just have to begin gently and let motivation follow. And now that you've started shifting the way you think about procrastination, your subconscious can begin learning that same ease and confidence too. And I've created this guided hypnosis session right here to help your mind rehearse that calm action and make those changes feel more real from the inside out. So until next time, be kind to yourself, celebrate your progress, and look out for the good things each day. And I'll see you in the next video.